Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. Hopefully,
For
Vern,
now, the only co-host.
yeah. Well, hopefully, Vern is on his way into the Zoom, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. The commute is killing him.
Yeah, exactly. You say, "Are you into the zone?" No, I'm into the Zoom. Let's see here. We're at each commercial break. We're going to ask a sports trivia question, and since we are still in the NFL season, we're going to
Kind of.
NFL
I mean, the NBA season is breathing down our neck.
It is, and we do.
Speak.
There are definitely a couple of things I wanted to talk about the NBA in the next segment. We actually got three things to talk about. Holy smokes, three things to talk about.
And I'm
NBA.
ready. I am really ready for this season.
How long you been a big basketball fan?
I actually went to my very first game in '74 to see Rick Barry play, and then when I got a chance to interview him, I was really excited to do that. And then I really started following him in like around '87. Like when Chris Mullin joined the team and he had, gotten himself straight and everything from the alcohol. I was going through some alcohol problems at the time, and I looked at what Chris Mullin did, and I said, you know what? If he can devote himself to basketball and turn his life around like that, I can do the same sort of thing. And I stopped drinking.
Oh, that was a good motivation.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
when was it? What Run TMC was after that? That was in the late 90s, early 2000s?
No. Run TMC happened only from like 87 to like 89.
Yeah, that's right, because you had Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, it only lasted 3 years.
3 years,
It didn't include Chris Webber.
No, that's right. No, it was Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway.
And of course, Mitch Richmond. The Rock.
Okay. The Rock. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments currently yielding over 7.5%, secured by real estate. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman, still waiting for Mr. Vern Glenn. Hopefully he'll join us. But in the meantime,
no dead air.
No dead air. That's right.
I promise
cannot have dead air. So, Russell, just before we got to break, or as we were in break, you were saying how you went to the 2000 NBA All-Star game.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me hear that story. Go ahead.
So in 2000, the only time the All-Star game has come to the Bay Area, the NBA All-Star game has come to the Bay Area in my lifetime. And the Warriors were terrible then, but I was still a huge fan. And my friend, who was supposed to do like this wedding rehearsal thing, played hooky on his wedding rehearsal, so he could go to the NBA the All-Star Jam that they called it back then. They had the arena was all set up where you could go inside and play all these different games and shoot hoops and get your picture taken with like an NBA jersey on, and
I must have had a lot of fans show up.
Yeah, it was really great, and we had a great time, and but he was supposed to be on the down low. He wasn't supposed to let his fiance know that he had missed his wedding thing. And right as we were leaving, there was a like little tiny kiosk like in the corner that said like, win tickets to the NBA All-Star game. I'm like, oh man, we should just do it. Let's fill it out. I don't care if they give me junk mail,
Yeah.
And so we filled it out on our way out, and I didn't win, but my best friend did. He
the guy
won.
who did the wedding rehearsal?
Well, no. Well, he won tickets to not only the All-Star. What he won was one of the choice to the ability to go and shoot 3-pointers.
Oh.
And if he had like hit like a certain number of them, he would have won like $100,000.
Yeah, and the best friend was still that's the same guy who have the wedding.
So he eventually did have to explain to his fiance how he won those All-Star tickets. Eventually, he had to go back to the Bay Area again and like do this contest where he shot 3 pointers.
Wait a minute, where did he come from?
Sacramento.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty far drive, sure.
Well, I do it all the
Yeah,
time, but
2 hours, yeah.
but yeah, he had to eventually explain why he was going back out again to the Bay
Are
Area.
they still
And
married?
oh yeah, they just had
Hey!
their like 25th and their 20th
20th
anniversary.
anniversary.
So
Oh,
yeah, no, it all worked out. But we were able to go to the he won. He didn't win the $100,000, but he did win tickets to the All-Star game, which
okay.
he took me to it, and that was you know what was the thing was Michael Jordan wasn't in the game, but he was in the audience, and he
Huh.
sat maybe about 75 feet away from like where we were sitting,
Oh,
and
very nice.
and nobody paid any attention to the game at all. Everyone was just like, "Oh, it's Michael Jordan! Oh, it's Michael Jordan! Oh, it's Michael Jordan! It's Michael Jordan! It's Michael Jordan! It's Michael Jordan!" And we just all just, I mean, whether he was eating popcorn or talking to someone, we were all just.
Well, oh man, the poor guy. Can you imagine being him and like wanting to just relax and enjoy watching other players, and then just having
Well, when I saw
teammates.
The Last Dance, I was like, I get that when they were talking about the amazing gravitas that
Yeah,
Michael Jordan, he's sort of a black hole of attention. I mean, when he was there, it just, the All-Star game might as well, the guys might have just stopped
yeah,
playing
yeah.
and just pointed to Michael Jordan as well and the rest of the
Well,
whole arena.
it's just like you walking down the street and people say, "Aren't you the co-host of Sports Econ 101?" Holy
Oh,
smokes!
people, yeah, I'm still hoping
They
for
stop you
that.
on the street. You can't have a normal
Yeah,
life. You have to kind
to
of go
sign an
incognito,
autograph
don't you?
for somebody.
Hey,
I get more recognition as Buddy Sotelo than I do
do
as
you really?
yes.
For those of you who don't know, Hello is the villain manager of wrestling.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I do have a podcast called Wrestling and Everything Coast to Coast that I do with Evan Ginsberg,
Yeah.
who is the associate producer of The Wrestler and a movie called 350 Days. So sorry to bore you there, but
No, not at all. Okay, so let's. I was looking online. I wanted to get to a couple of different basketball things here. So LaMelo Ball is starting his own clothing line, and $120 for a hoodie. I mean, hoodies are what, about $30, maybe 40 if you
yeah,
get a good one.
the poor kids in China are probably getting about 35 cents for
Pence,
each one of them.
exactly. And then $20 for socks. Socks are like usually a couple of bucks. And $495 for shoes.
Well,
Holy
of course, because
cow.
it's all about the
It's
shoes.
all about the shoes. I think he's taking kind of a lesson from his dad, Lamar. I don't know what's going to happen.
If his dad would just leave his kids alone, they would probably be much greater successes in the NBA.
Probably.
He is like the nightmare version of the sports parent. And thank God I look at my kids and I just look at myself and say, I am not that kind of a dad. And I know you weren't either, even though your daughter
No,
accomplished.
I coach softball. I'm very competitive, but I'm not a poor sport.
You don't live through your kid. You're not
No.
trying to. It's not like you have no greatness, but your kid does. So
Yeah,
you try to live your greatness through your kid's greatness, and that to me as a parent is sickening. I would just, I could never do that to my kids, and I don't want to be that kind of parent. I've had some friends of mine that were trying to send their kids to the Olympics in floor gymnastics.
Yeah.
And the kind of just overt push that they were, you could tell that the kids didn't at a certain level want to keep competing like that.
It's no fun for them anymore.
Yeah, but the parents were doing it because it was the parents felt it was their destiny, and they were really pushing the kids so hard to do it that it caused a lot of strain and a lot of unnecessary stress. And not every kid is going to be an amazing Olympic athlete.
Well, and even if they are, is it worth pushing them to where you have an unhealthy child, because,
right?
With the stomach ulcers, and then your relationship with them.
Or Todd Marinovich.
Yeah.
That
Bernie
he unfortunately, like last was found like with some meth, and running away from the police. He had like meth in a guitar case. He was like, on the street playing.
Well, did he have the relationship with his dad, a bad like that. Okay, and
His
Bernie
dad
Kosar,
said that he had never had even one meal at McDonald's until he was in college.
well, that goes for me too, but that's only because my mom didn't like unhealthy
No, but
food.
he just
Yeah.
like it was
I
all
get it.
about football. Like everything about him was football. He was like programmed to be a
Yeah,
one-dimensional football machine.
yeah.
You know,
Well, you
and
know what? I remember seeing a special Bernie Kosar. Same thing with his, and he was a good quarterback.
and Tiger Woods.
Yeah, but Tiger seems to have. I mean, I know he's had a little bit of kind of odd relationships with a lot of women, but he seems to be a little bit more um, able to handle it.
But he was still programmed to be a golfing machine.
Oh, even at 3, he was on the Mike Douglas show. In fact, I remember seeing that episode. You ever go back when Tiger Woods,
It's
3
just
years old?
creepy. I think that's
Yeah,
just creepy. It's not. You grow up to be something that's all you understand is
yeah.
the game of golf. And
Yeah, it's funny because even in college, when I was really interested in accounting and not the tax and stuff like that, but just really, really liked business. And I remember, I had to take some classes that were non-business related, and I was very frustrated at the time because I said, I don't care about dynamics of Western culture. I just want to concentrate on business. And now, as a more mature adult, I can really appreciate the fact that there's all this interesting history and how you can learn from stuff like that. That if you're just focused on business, you just don't know anything else.
business is made of people.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
understand people, then you
gotta
don't
relate.
understand business. That's
Yeah.
just going to be how it works, man.
It's sort of like the Big Bang Theory. You got that Sheldon Cooper,
Yes.
right? Say he's just so physics he doesn't know how to relate to people. Hey, first commercial trivia break here. The Miami Dolphins had a perfect season record in the 1970s. In that particular season, they had 2 running backs who rushed for 1,000 yards. Who was the third running back who also rushed for over 500 yards?
Ooh.
All right. That's our trivia question. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here. Vern is having a little bit of computer issues. Russell, you're the computer genius.
I know. I can't. There's nothing I can do to help. Someone can't get
How come you're not over there fixing it for him?
He's never hired me.
Heartbroken. A little further away. Let's see here. We have for our first trivia question was. Miami Dolphins had a perfect season record in the 1970s, actually 1972. In that particular season, they had 2 running backs who rushed for over 1,000 yards. First of all, who were those 2 running backs? Come on, man.
No, I'm so in like the NBA mode right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking much about
your football hat.
1972.
Okay. Yeah. So you had Mercury Morris.
Oh,
and
yes.
Larry Zonka.
Zonka.
Okay. So who was the third running back who rushed for a little over 500 yards?
I'm obviously not in a Miami Dolphins.
No, you're not. Jim Kick. Kiick.
I never heard of him. Never heard of him. I haven't.
Where were you in 1972?
5 years old.
Well, okay, I'll give you a pass on that one.
Yeah, the only thing is that the Miami Dolphins are still celebrating that unbeaten season.
That's right. Every year that some team eventually does not. Now, right now, Pittsburgh's got 9-0. They have that champagne on ice, and as soon as someone beats them, boom, they break up the champagne. They go to the record.
Soon unfortunately, there's fewer and fewer of them to celebrate every year.
I know.
We lost Lent Dawson, and then not that it's related, but this week we lost Paul Hornung.
I know. Yeah, that was.
I never got to see him
one of the few things guys who could get away with stuff from Vince Lombardi. It sounded like.
Yeah, but I never watched him play. But even as someone that never watched him play football, the legend of Hornung and the fact that he played all every just about every position you can play in football. At one point in time or another, including kicking and punting. It's just
also to think about how the game was. I mean, the guys weren't as big and strong as they are now. But the game seemed to be, let's call it rougher. You could get away with a lot of stuff. Tackling a guy after he's already been tackled, I mean, it just gets ridiculous. What you see from old plays where guys would just pick guys up and slam them on the ground. I was like, okay, well. That's
and then on Sunday, the 49ers basically lost the game against New Orleans because of the hit on Drew Brees.
Yeah, which and that
did knock him out, but that was a legit hit.
It was.
He did not lead with the helmet. He hit him with his body.
Yeah, but he also, I think the thing is, I think the reason they called it was because it appeared that he just sort of put all his weight on.
Which is what you're supposed to do when you tackle somebody.
Yeah, otherwise there would be a lot of people.
Or else guys are going to get away and bounce off of you. And the 49ers have had, been stung all season long by quarterbacks escaping and running for yardage. And so, they're even more attentive to try to wrap the quarterback up and make sure he doesn't get away. So finally they make that play on the and that would have been a 3rd and like 30, the sack would have pushed them way back. Instead, it's first down on the 10-yard line.
I mean, I get trying to protect the quarterbacks, especially to help the game, but when you make it, I mean, it should be somewhat egregious, that kind of. Otherwise, we have to go to 2-hand touch or flag football.
I wouldn't want to be a defensive player right now in the NFL. I think it's absolutely a thankless job for the most part, and you're going to get penalty. And it's gotten to the point where if you see a really nice hit on a player, you're expecting a flag to come out. I mean, it doesn't matter whether they're – and then, of course, they miss some terrible, egregious helmet-to-helmet stuff. Yeah. And they just don't see it because it's the speed and the impact of the game is so much. That's true. And guys are still getting hurt, so it's not as if these rules are making guys,
Well, but it should help, though, right? Because if you're a defensive guy, you got to know you can't, do the helmet spearing and all that other kind of stuff. When guys down, and then you still go down and try to, draw the ball loose.
I agree. I just think the refs are not doing a good job of calling it when it's not legit. I mean, when it is a legit case, a legit tackle. Were you up partying or something last night? What's up with the yawns, my friend?
I don't know. No, it's not that you're boring me. No, it's that just happens. Sometimes you don't get enough sleep.
Oh God, yes, I do.
That's what
You're talking to a father of twins, like I'm trying to figure out what it's like to not get sleep. That was me for the first 3 years.
Give them lots of Quaaludes. That usually helps.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Hey, so Chris Paul is traded to the Suns.
Big news. Yeah. I think we're going to see a bunch of other trades, especially as tomorrow we head into the draft.
Yeah, Drew Holiday. I mean, there's been a bunch of them. And then get this, James Harden declined a $50 million per year extension with the Rockets. He wants to play with Kyrie Irving and Durant in Brooklyn, or possibly with Embiid in Philly.
Well, we're talking about Sports Econ 101. That really hits the heart of the matter right there. And the other big deal here is talking about the Warriors' plan to make the arena COVID safe.
Yeah. Now, explain to the audience how they plan to do that.
Yeah, that's, again, a huge news here in the Bay Area this week when Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, said that they're, first of all, purchasing $30 million worth of 15-minute COVID tests. So you show up to the game ostensibly 15 minutes early, but I mean, I think people are going to have to show up a couple hours early if you think about it to
all the people
line of everyone, because the testing isn't like instant. You got to, people have to fill out forms and stuff like that. Yeah. So you go, you get tested. They let you know in 15 minutes if you're negative or not. Then they have you come into the arena. Everyone is required to wear masks. Mm-hmm. It's only going to be half full, and they're adding in an air filtration system.
Oh, like they do the airplanes. Probably.
Super powerful. They're like the most powerful one that they can get their hands on. To
it's probably safer to be there than anywhere else, even in your house.
It's true. It's going to recycle the air 4 times an hour, which when you think about the size of that arena is mind-bending.
Yeah.
Hopefully
it'll be quiet, though. Because I can imagine
Who
how loud it
knows?
would be.
Well, it will be quiet in the sense that there's only going to be half the number of fans there. So
True. And
the fan,
did
yeah.
Lacob forget to mention though that if you're tested positive for COVID, they shoot you right there?
Well, they'll ship you off to Alcatraz.
Yeah.
And you'll be quarantined on Alcatraz for.
It's not a bad idea. I say that in jest. I don't want to get a bunch of calls and emails saying, "Wait, you just said they're going to shoot them."
I would like to get some calls and emails, so maybe we should. Come on, you folks! Everyone, when do we get a call or an email on this show?
Only when we swear, and then then we get something from the station saying, "Hey guys, you got to catch this," and stop. Tell them to stop.
That's usually me. So
I had an attorney. Well, why is it with all the attorneys they swear? The other
because
guy,
that's what we do. We get pushed that far all the time.
Yeah, he dropped a big F-bomb, and I had to kind of quickly look at the clock and go, okay.
You don't like my putting the word God in front of damn, but I
don't.
I think that one I'd say is the gray area of.
Yeah,
I just don't do the George Carlin routine. George Carlin 7 words you can't say.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's
let's see here. Hey, what do you think about Kim Ng being the first woman hired as GM for the Marlins?
Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting that I think a woman can be as good a GM as a man can. In fact, I think that but a lot of eyes will be on her, and if she's a success, then it will open the door for a lot of other women to be involved.
I think a lot of it, what it really comes down to, is how the other players and other personnel are going to respect her, because she could do the job. I mean, she's not coming from nowhere. I mean, she's been involved in baseball operations for a really long time, so she probably knows exactly what she's doing. She's probably completely competent, but you got to somehow get the players and everybody else to basically come on board with it, so that there's no issue of the fact that she's not a man.
You know what the interesting point is? I think the hardest core baseball fans that I know now are women.
Interesting, yeah. It's funny. There was that actress we had on. It's a little embarrassing. I can't remember her name, but we had her on, and she's actually a very good actress. And boy, does she know her baseball.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of ladies who really, really, especially since 2010 when the Giants got good. Hey, the ladies were into, Buster Posey and Crawford. And, and they thought that those guys were and Lincecum. They thought they were, cute guys, and but a lot of them stayed. A lot of them, stayed as Giants fans, and those are the ones I know that are. Now, I have a trivia question for you, Mr. Man.
Okay,
it has nothing to do with football.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We get 15 seconds. Go ahead.
There was a college player who played every single position in one game and hit a grand slam. Who was he?
It was in baseball.
In baseball. Baseball.
Okay, player. Stay with us. We'll come back with that. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman. And poor Vern Glenn cannot get his computer running, so he's going to be off today. So I'll ask my trivia question after you do yours. Go ahead. Ask the question.
Yeah, I'm so proud to stump you. This player not only struck out both batters that he faced, but he also hit a grand slam, which makes it really unique. And he's one of my all-time favorite baseball players. We're talking about the Giants catcher, Buster Posey.
And but the thing was, Buster, you said he played all positions in one game?
Yes, including pitched.
I totally had forgotten about that.
And
you said 2008.
What?
You said 2008.
Yeah. Well,
2010 is when he was his rookie year.
Right. That was in college. I said he did it while he was in college.
Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Well, that doesn't count. Who knows college baseball? Come on.
But you know Buster Posey, don't you?
Well, that's true.
It just shows he's a phenomenal athlete, and as a Giants fan, I'm really looking forward to him coming back and returning to the Giants.
Is he planning on returning?
You know what? Who knows? I mean, where's Corona going to be by springtime? Yeah. Are we going to be where we're at now, where we're overrun with cases, or are we going to see a lowering in the Corona?
Now, okay, I want to get your honest opinion.
Yeah.
Will he be a Hall of Famer? Even if he stars right now?
Yeah, unquestionably. I think 2012 solidifies him in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, he had as good a year in 2012 as a baseball player could possibly have.
And that was after 2011 when he got.
That's the point. He was comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
And he hit 375 or something like that. He won the batting title. He won the MVP. He hit a grand slam in the World Series.
No, not the World Series. It was against the Reds playoffs.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yes. He had a grand slam against the Reds in like a critical game.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually the World Series didn't do very much. He kind of like gave it all in the Reds series, and then went back to normal. But that was the year that he made me a fan for life, and we just haven't had catchers in this generation play on the level that Buster Posey has played.
Not recently. I mean, you had Ivan Rodriguez was he was phenomenal. Piazza was great. I mean, you look forward to watching these guys hit.
But not in the 2010 era on out. He's been the best catcher.
We haven't had too many
No, he's been the best catcher. If you asked someone, name me a catcher from 2010 on, Buster Posey would be the first.
Oh yeah, he'd be the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask my trivia question anyway.
Yes.
because it's about football. Thank you. The first combined NFL-AFL draft occurred in the 1960s. Who was the first overall draft pick in the inaugural draft? And you'll know the player.
Jim Brown?
No, it was a little bit after him.
Len Dawson?
Defense.
Oh, defense.
By the Baltimore Colts.
Dick Butkus?
No. By the Baltimore Colts.
Baltimore Colts.
Bubba Smith.
Oh, it was Bubba Smith?
Bubba Smith was the inaugural draft. Pretty good.
Wow, that is pretty good, and I did not know.
Got one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving on here. I got a couple of quick things here. So, Hall of Fame baseball, they're coming up with some of the potentials. And some of these guys, I'm looking and I'm going, how are they even making the mark? A.J. Burnett. I mean,
yeah, no, he shouldn't get it.
Yeah, decent. I mean, decent player. Mark Burley. I mean, the only one I saw on there that was, I could really kind of about is Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
Yeah,
there. But you're right. We're kind of hitting a spot where baseball was in its downturn, you know, and so the classes are not as slam dunk as they were,
No, you can't have good players in. They're supposed to be, the best. In fact, they should have a special one, and they should the top 9 players. And every time someone gets better than one, you take that person off.
Oh yeah, that's
like a special Hall of Fame within the Hall of Fame, But okay, so Curt Schilling is in his 9th year of potentially getting in. He's got 70% of the votes, and generally, what the quote they say is that when you hit 70, as long as you have 75%, you get in. And usually when you hit 70, they kind of gently push you up to 75. Problem is that he's been kind of a polarizing type figure off the field, mostly off the field. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, how many other players got in who are a different sort, we'll call them, I mean, everyone talks about Ty Cobb, mean player and dirty player, blah, blah, blah.
But the Hall of Fame is always about popularity. It always is. It always is. It always is.
Well, that's why Ted Williams didn't get in on his first. Oh, no, sorry. He didn't get 100% votes because there were people, newspaper writers who just go, I don't like him.
It's always about that. It's we talked about the WWE Hall of Fame last week, and it's that kind of thing. It has to do with whether you're liked or not.
You know what? That's by a bunch of wimps. I don't care. Even if a guy's a Democrat, he should get in. I knew you'd
kind of like president.
That one.
Kind of like president, huh?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to make this political. I just thought it was kind of funny because I knew I'd get a smirk out of Russell for saying that. But
okay,
anyway, a guy should be if a Hall of Fame should be what he does on the field.
But there's no statistical numerical threshold to then reach that level. And part of that makes sense because the way things change in eras. I mean, just the other day, they showed that Phillip Rivers has passed Dan Marino in, I think, either yards or touchdowns.
Yeah, it's just because he's played a long time.
Well, okay, you just qualified it, right? Dan Marino is obviously Hall of Famer, hands down. Nobody even thought twice about it. But would you put Phillip Rivers in the Hall of Fame now?
No, I wouldn't. No, so just because he beats one statistic. Same thing with like Mark McGwire. Just because Mark McGwire hit so many home runs, he was not a good player.
Well, because then that's why a numerical threshold doesn't work. You can't just, or you said, the guys are on the list, they get taken down when someone passes them. But because the rules change and things like that.
Well, that is kind of, that part's fair because if you change the rules, on the field, on the field,
it's easier for a guy like Phillip Rivers to get the yardage than he's got.
Well, now it is, because he doesn't have to worry as much about getting hurt, what you're allowed to do and that sort of thing. But we've talked about this before on the show that if you have to think about it, the answer is probably no.
Yeah, and I definitely have to think about those other.
Yeah, but someone like Pete Rose would be automatically in the Hall of Fame, but for the gambling issue.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I think so, and having probably I think not only gambled on his team, but my thought is he gambled against his team.
Supposedly,
I believe that.
Did that.
I believe that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if that's actually come out because the thing is, if you're betting on your own team, if you're coaching it also, you can have an influence because, you throw all your best relievers in on one game and that might affect the next game.
Yeah.
But that's not as bad as betting against your team. And then,
or you just put in guys that can't score or that are bench players.
Well, now where did you hear that though?
It's who Pete Rose is. It's if you're low enough of a person to bet on your team at all, one way or another, you'll bet on them to lose because you have more. It's easier to control whether or not your team will lose.
Lose, correct.
Than it is
I definitely
to bet on your team if it's going to win.
For sure.
And he showed he was a low enough personality. Look, Pete Rose could have bet on tiddlywinks, and he could have bet on horses. He could have bet on football. He could have bet on basketball, and you can bet on friggin' fly landing on a window. Okay,
but you can't bet on the team on your sport.
Of all the things you have to bet on, you bet on the thing that you can actually control. Come on, that's evil. That's evil.
Oh, well, again, you're assuming that he bet against.
Why not? If you're a bettor, you just want to win. Okay, if inveterate gamblers, do you know any inveterate gamblers?
Yeah, and I get it. That a lot of times they'll just keep betting until they eventually lose everything because.
But if you knew you had an inside track and you could get a win whenever you needed it, if you were having a bad streak, but you knew you had an ace in the hole that you could go and trot out like the worst players on your squadron, and they will lose this game, and you can bet against your own team to get that win that you need to get yourself right again. Well, that's what gamblers will do. And that's what gamblers will do.
And unlike the 1919 Black Sox scandal, I have not heard of anyone being in cahoots on the baseball team with the Pete Rose betting. It's not like he told the center fielder, make sure you drop a couple of balls out there.
No. He wouldn't do that. That would be too damn obvious. That would be.
Guys make errors. I mean, look at it. I mean,
right, but he wouldn't tell someone to make an error. But you can put in, Barney Butterfingers.
Theoretically, Barney Butterfingers shouldn't be on the team, but you could potentially say, listen, I'll split the bet with you. I'll split the winnings with you.
Pete was too greedy for that.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I think so.
But again, his on the field, definitely first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'd put him in the Hall of Fame, but I'd tell the truth. That's all I want. Is you have Barry Bonds, you have Canseco, and you have all those guys in the Hall of Fame, but you have to sell the truth of what they did.
Or maybe you have a second Hall of Fame for the questionable activities.
That's what I said. The hallway to the bathroom, and the bathroom itself is the Hall of Shame, and then that way. Okay,
so the difference though between Pete Rose, nobody's ever accused him of doing steroids to enhance his ability.
Right.
Whereas with Bonds, that's a different kind of animal, right?
It's true.
And
then have the Houston Astros in there too.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much really got affected by banging on the drums. I know it helped, but I don't. You still have to see that fastball.
Okay, but what if every team did it?
Yeah, but I mean, you're not talking about the Hall of Fame at that point.
And there's more than just that. I mean, there's stuff like they had hidden microphones on them and all sorts of other shenanigans that were going on.
Well, that shouldn't happen. They should.
Well, if it is, and they won a World Series, you commemorate that World Series by putting them in the Hall of Shame with Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens
and what about the guys who keep an extra nail file?
Yeah, if you're gonna tell the truth, tell the truth. That's what I believe.
All right, last trivia question on football: who was the first head coach to win 300 games in their career? And we'll find out if you also know who was the second. So let's see if you know the first two coaches. First coach to win 300 games in their career, and the second coach to win 300. And you'll know. I mean, you'll know the coaches. They're not unknown people. All right.
Okay.
Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments, and don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman. This is the last time for today. So here's our trivia question. Who was the first head coach to win 300 games in their career? NFL.
I'm going to go with Shula.
No, he was the second. So you got part two correct. Who was the first?
That gets tough. Lombardi?
No, before him.
Before Lombardi.
You know him. Come on.
Paul Brown?
No, before him. Come on. Who was like the main first big coach?
Newt Rockne?
No, George Hallis.
Oh, George Hallis. Okay.
For the Bears. I figured you'd know that one.
Well, at least Shula was the one I was, focused on.
In fact, he was the first one to appear in 4 Super Bowls.
Right.
With the Colts and the Dolphins. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna. Any last? We got like 10 seconds before we got to do our thoughts for the day.
10 seconds. Oh my. Just that. I hope the Warriors pick Wiseman for the. The number 2 overall pick.
Okay, here we go. Here's our thoughts for the day. Someone broke into my garage and stole my limbo bar. Man, how low can you go?
Low can you get?
Exactly.
I've heard that one.
You heard that one. Okay. And I thought I spotted Superman twice. Turns out it was just a bird in a plane.
And a speeding train.
That's right. We'll see.
In a building.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No.
In fact, my daughter and I just watched the original Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Yes. George Reeves.
No, Christopher.
No, George, you're talking about from the 50s?
No, the one from the 70s.
Okay. Yeah, Christopher Reeve, the one who fell off the horse.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes. And
In fact, Superman 2 was better than Superman 1.
We watched both, and we found it very enjoyable even after the
Okay,
fact.
here we go. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.